Hello, it's AAA Wargaming. Apologies, it's been a while. Work is definitely getting on top of me, and I've been fixed trying to paint for the Art of War, which is this weekend. Very excited. Though it is a little windy. For those who are in the UK, we are suffering the effects of Storm Eunice down south. Um, that's quite unusual. Normally, down south is a pretty good one, and up north is not always that great. But we're suffering for this time, so I know quite a lot of people are trying to get across the country as we speak at the moment. I'm going to be heading up tomorrow, so that's all good. Um, this will be the game number 4 of the Masters Open, and I was drawn, so this will be Sunday morning. I found out on the Saturday evening against Infernal Dwarves and Matt Wilson's list, and when you see the pictures, it's an exceptionally beautiful army. It's really, really good, and I'll pick out certain bits as we go through. And he won Best Painted at the end, so you're in for a real treat on some of the models on this video. But so we start off with marching columns. So that's that's one where you start from one side and you have to deploy 3 units and then you deploy the rest. And it was capture the flag, so going on to scoring units. And on the face of it, normally Infernal Dwarfs is pretty bad for Sylvan Elves, but I think I had some good pieces. My scoring units were quite big, or in terms of the archers and the dryads, but it did mean that I didn't want to use my dryads, my small one. I was like, yep, okay, they're going to be pushed out the way. I'm not going to use them as chaff anymore, but it only means I've lost 165 points, so that's really quite good. And I can use the bulk of my army because most of it is non-scoring. I'm going to decide to keep the Dryads available in the fight and just take risks, the fact they haven't got a musician or anything like that. But if necessary, I can move away with the archers and maybe I can use them to pick off one of his scoring units and just take an advantage. It's probably one of the better ones to use against ID because they maybe have some vassal levies or something like that I can go for. So it was one of those. One of the big things, this is the list he took, and it didn't have the Infernal Bastion, which is something I think the drums of Cameron on my BSB is quite good for, because it means he comes in, shoots once, and then I can charge. So I'm quite looking forward to see if I can pull that trick at the Art of War this weekend. But otherwise, he had a Vizier and a Bull, BSB, double A3 icon, Essence and Mithril, Great Weapon, and Crowner was King. I don't know what he took as a spell on Crowner was. I think he was Spectral Blades, but it's quite a nice build. I had a look at it and I just sort of put it to the side and said, I can't really plan for it. It's going to be all over the shop. The Overlord, General, Great Weapon, Kingslayer, Inferno Weapon, Shield Breaker, etc. I was like, this thing is probably going to go into the Citadel Guard, I was guessing, and just with the Flintlock Axe and stuff like that, and the odd bit of magic he can bring, I've got to leave that alone unless I get a really, really good opportunity with the Avatar to put in there. But even then, I remember having a look at this. There's just, I think just some of the blazer protection and stuff like that, I realized I didn't want to do that. So Avatar is going to stay away from that unit. The Lamassu is pretty cool, and with the Crystal Ball, I did not know before this that they could take Lamassu could take magic items, but that's pretty cool. And then a Wizard Apprentice Pyro, so it's going to give me a bit of choice. But otherwise, I decided when I saw Lamassu, I'd let him have the extra channel. I always do that because I think actually having extra spells is more advantageous in this role. And it's just a personal opinion. The Citadel Guard, yeah, as I said, with the Stalker Standard, so I'm probably not taking Break the Spirit, and that's going to be a way. That's just something I'm not going to do. The Vassal Levies, yes, there's 30 of them, but I felt this was where I could potentially get that scoring unit with my shooting. As I've got 6 turns. If I just keep plinking them off, I could get a lucky and take them off. Then he's got the Shackled Slaves, which give buffs. 23 Disciples of Legal, Great Weapon. I wasn't sure how I was going to deal with this, apart from I had to somehow get in their flanks and everything. If I didn't overwhelm this unit, I wasn't going to be able to do it. The Torek Anointed, I felt I could zone, so I wasn't too bad. And then the Vassal Slingshot. The Infernal Engine with the Rocket Battery and the Kadim Titan with the Nat Throw. This was concerning, but I didn't want to take this up while I was deploying. I just knew the Rocket Battery would be a threat to my Dragon, so the Dragon was going to hide behind the Avatar for the majority of it. In terms of spells, I took Healing Waters because he didn't have actually that much flaming and there wasn't a Pyromaster, so I was pretty happy with that. And I chose Truth of Time just to see if I could, if I required those long bomb charges, because I do rather prefer to charge the Infernal Engine than be charged. So that was some of the decisions for me. Otherwise, it was pretty standard. I took in 20 roots because I can put a forest. There was a reasonable amount of forest on the board, so I could put that near his Infernal Engine, just make him more difficult to shoot. In terms of his spell selection, he had Word of Iron and Breath of Corruption. I hate Breath of Corruption after this tour. It's such a good spell, especially against my Blade Dancers, because I can't do anything about it. If they had to come in 18 inches of range, I'd probably be a little happier. Well, no, even then, because I still couldn't shoot them, charge them in. But it's just such a good spell to deal with them, anything like that. He then had the Fireball, which is going to be, and I'm not sure on Crown of the Wasting, though I think it was Spectral Blades. But overall, the magic is one of the few times against Infernal Dwarfs the magic wasn't going to affect me. So in deployment, what we do is we had a hill on this side. We've got a forest in the centre. I think there was a wall here. And then we got this impassable terrain here, a hill here. There wasn't that much. I think just because and a wall here somewhere. I think because this table had been used to display all the armies for the painting competitions, it was sort of, we didn't get that much terrain back. But he chose sides, and he chose this side, which I was a bit curious about because it's got the impassable in, but I was happy with. And then I chose to drop for the first model, and that was because I have a lot of fast moving items. I wanted to sort of see if I could get around somewhere with this Kestrel. So the first thing I did was place the Kestrels over this side. I've got a building here that I can anchor on and go round quite easily, and if he puts a unit there, fine, especially if it's a scoring unit, because I can put something threatening here and just shove it down that flank because it's cut off by the building. He didn't put the slaves there, and at this point I realised I've got this flank, so I put the Brimanians down here so I don't give away my lines. I didn't want to make him put some really tough stuff. I wanted to make him think I was still trying to be more central, and it appeared to have worked because he just started, then he put the Lugers, and I was pretty happy with that, and the Killian Titan, and it's just this massive space over here, and it's just, I can keep the rest of his army over on this side whilst I push up with the Blade Dancers. So I dropped after I put the Dryads down, and that was my army theirs. He then counter deployed with his Kadim Titan, his Citadel Guard, which I'm really happy at. It was now further away. I think if those two were switched around, I don't think I'd have been able to do what I'd done. Just their shooting was quite dangerous. And then this on this side. So I knew the Avatar would have to go and get it because that's the only way possible. And then he just put the, if you look on this side, he's put the Toruk Anointed and his other vassal levies. This was one thing I was most disappointed about because the vassal levies were far enough away. So I didn't think I was going to have to get them. So the only scoring item unit I think I could have taken on really were the disciples. So I think at this point I was going to try and be a bit aggressive, holding back and see what I can go after. So this is what happened in first term. I'd vanguarded up with my Kestrels, it's going to fan, so I can see his vassal slaves. He can't really come forward out of arc because then my Dryads just go through them, or my Blade Dancers. So I've really got the jump on him on the left. I've moved the Heath Hunters here, and that was very much, I know it looks like I've thrown away the chaff, but it effectively fixes them here. And that's what I wanted to do as long as possible. I wanted him to take a really long view round here, whilst I push up into this side and see if I could take some of this units off. It means I can concentrate on my shooting. You can see my Sentinels off here, and just concentrate on stuff like the Kadim, disable the Disciples of Luga, get a few of them off with these guys, and yeah, just shoot here and just overwhelm this flank. So I think that was working quite well. You can see my dragon I've used behind the Avatar just to force this the Infernal Engine out if he wants to shoot at it, and just if he's got to come round to shoot it, then it makes it basically takes the Toruk Anointed out of the game because they won't be able to get round. So I'm pretty happy with my first turn. In terms of magic, I do get some stuff off, but otherwise, and I do a few wounds to here, but otherwise pretty much nothing. In terms of him, he turns to face, expecting a charge from the Kestrels into Shackled Slaves. I won't be able to break them. He's got his BSB back here, behind the Kalim Titan. Otherwise, he just moves to turn sideways. He moves them here to make sure that, and we just sort of said, if I get in there, I can't then attack him in the flank. It just sort of, the way we worked it out, it means I've got to overrun into the flank. He didn't shoot the Heat Hunter. He didn't charge the Heat Hunters. He just didn't want to come too forward in case it risked a counter charge from this guy. So he's just going to shoot and magic them off as he can. And otherwise, you can see they're having to start the mud round. I was quite happy with this because I was like, okay, cool. I think I can go and take them. I've got lots of shooting attacks here when you think about the breath weapon and this. So I was pretty happy. Otherwise, yeah, we've got a pyro. This is a blaze from that guy there. So the sentinels are getting some bad things. So there's 4 of them gone already. And then he blasts the Heath Hunters away with the Citadel Guard Flintlocks axe just in one go. So my turn 2. So you can see here, I've got these Dryads. I've seen this corner here. They are going on now, which I'm quite happy with, because also with the musician here, it does give me an area where I can fall back my scoring and use the house and the blade dance to the block. Something I did forget last time, he did get a I had to let through Breath of Corruption because I think, or did I stop Breath of Corruption? Yeah, no, I stopped something. What did I stop? I think it was Word of Iron on the Shackled Slaves. I just didn't want to do that there, so I let Breath of Corruption through because I've got time to heal them up. In terms of that, I've brought the Avatar round because I think he missed with the Infernal Engine, and I'm just trying there to keep his army. He doesn't want to bring them forward here, so I'm in a pretty happy location. What I've done here is I want to bring the Dryads forward so I can threaten the Shackled Slaves in case he gets stopped. So what I've done is I've sacrificed the Briar Maidens there, and that's just so they can sit in the front. I've seen what he's done now. If he wasn't going to charge the Heath Hunters, he's not going to charge the Briar Maidens just because of the threat of the counter charge there. So I'm pretty happy with that. And I've obviously charged the Kestrels into Shackled Slaves just to get rid of them. I don't think he was still in the front or something, so I don't think this guy was able to go in because of the distance anyway, so I was pretty happy with the situation. In shooting, I start picking off these guys, and I do reasonably well actually, and in magic I get some stuff off on this one, and also I think I put something on these guys as well, but overall not really effective. I think I got one spell off, maybe even thrown. It wasn't that effective, but shooting really was. So when I took off about 5 or 6 of them, and I was half expecting to realise my plan at this point, but so I expected to have to change tact. This was this, so I lost 2 Kestrels in this combat. So Shackled Slaves with 2 attacks and stuff like Battle Focus. It was really quite like, damn it. But otherwise I killed quite a few of them. He lost, but I think he sticks in combat anyway. So on to his turn 2. So as you can see here, he's going after the Centaurs and the Archers with his vassal levies. He's lost quite a few this turn, so I'm pretty happy. And the Tauric Anointed, his Infernal Engine is coming up here and is just facing down my Tree Father, my Avatar of Nature. He's going to have a shooter there, and I think this is the moment where I'm like, yeah, I'm going to have to go and get him, or just stand here and take it. He's moved back with the other stuff. He didn't charge the Briar Maidens and go for the trap. But either way, I'm quite happy. He's probably going to shoot them off to death with the Citadel Guard because they're going to be really good at that range. He's still got the Lamacy back here, so I'm pretty happy with how defensive he's being. I'm just going to block any spells on the Shackled Slaves, and just the Blade Dancers are going to have to take it, which they do. I think they get another Breath of Corruption. This is a shooting or Breath of Corruption. I think it was a bit of both. So effectively, I've got 1 guy and 1 wound, but he does, because it only came off in stages, I got to pass at full leadership, but now he's at half leadership, so the champion is there on his own, which is great because I can now push him in front of the Kadim Titan and just keep them far back. My turn 3. So this, as you can see, I think this is at the end, but what I've done is this after his turn, he shot with the Infernal Engine here, and I've lost 2 wounds, but I'm still pretty happy with that. I've only lost 2 wounds. I've still kept most of my Blade Dancers. I've still got my Dryads. I did manage to break them this last turn. I've moved into this angle where they're fleeing. I decided not to overrun because, why? There was a reason. So they, or did they break them? No. So they break. I decided not to overrun after them. Or no, I tried to, and I couldn't catch them. It was something like that. I rolled so low. But then what happened is I just moved them back out of here. So they're out of range of the Kadim, they're not in range of his BSB or anything, and they're not in range of the Luger, and that was agreed. So what I can do there is I had a choice between blocking the Disciples and pushing up, or blocking this. I decided to block this one just to keep forcing him back. It was only turn 3, and I didn't want to push on the Disciples without and give away my plan at the moment, because as you can see with the shooting here, I'm starting to really bring down. There was only about 15 or something vassal levies left. So I've got 3 turns to do that. I've got a breath weapon, a shooting attack. So I was pretty happy with this. I was like, yep, this is good. I'm in a good spot here. And the Turk Anointed, I can move away from my Centaurs. They're not going to threaten unless they come in. And actually, I generally thought he'd push them this way and just turn them in that way just to start threatening my Avatar and Dragon. So otherwise, I'm really happy with this because I'm controlling the left. I'm withdrawing on the right, delayed, but he's not pushing forward in the center, which is what I was most worried about. This is Kadim Titan. I mean, look at this model. It's absolutely lovely. Just a thing, this moves, it spins round. Not, I did ask him whether he could put something mechanical and you could have like a model that would live do it, but it does move round and round. It's such a good thing. But that the Kadim charged my Briar Maiden. He decided it was time for it to go, so that's there. And then otherwise, he's moved the Disciples back. He's turned the Vassal Levies to sort of face. And he's just moved away from my army while trying to bring this down. What he has done is he's brought his vassal apprentice pyro blokey out here to chaff my Avatar. He wants to have another shot at it, and he doesn't want the Avatar going into here. And this screwed up my plan a bit because I did think next turn about moving forward with both of these models to go on this and shoot. But with the threat of these on the hill just coming around because they can see over them and flank, I decided that wasn't a great idea to move them forward. So I thought this was going to be a turn 5 activity where I really start going for the vassal levy. But otherwise in shooting, he did take a few more blade dancers, I think. I don't think he took any more wounds off the Avatar. Yeah, he only took 1 off in shooting from the Citadel Guard. But he did kill my my primary champion. That's that thing gone. So I'm really out of chaff now that I can really use that's not scoring. So I'm at the end of my tether now. I've held him off for 3 turns, so everything's really good, but I'm going to have to wait for it's going to be interesting. Turn 4, right? So I missed most of my turn 4, but effectively what happens is there were Kestrels here. They've moved back away, out of arc of, or at least can't be got by the sizable Luger. I've gone quite aggressive with the Tree Father here, and I've healed 1 of the wounds in the magic phase. In the shooting, this is a bit like the Empire game in not Masters Open. What was the one in November? Tech. That was it. The English Championships, where I shot at the unit and they failed. They failed within reach of the Infernal Dwarves, so they get to use the Kadim, the Turk Anointed's leadership, and they failed it. I was like, Matt was like, oh no, they failed, and I was thinking, no, this is better for you because if they rally, I'm not taking them. So I was like, no. So it was quite funny. But what I've done is I've moved quite aggressively out of arc of everything with the Infernal Engine in front of me just to give him a choice. He's probably going to go in because he can't run away now, and I'm taking there. And it just means if I can take that off quicker, I can get after the vassal levies, and it's out of arc of the Turek Anointed. I think if I took Turek Anointed and the Infernal engine, I don't think that would work out as well. For the remainder, you can see my Centaurs, I did grow them back with the Summer's Growth. I think it was this turn or last turn, but it's probably why they were so effective. So this was what's worse. So the Sylvan Centaurs shot, they failed and ran, and I still had the archers. I was like, so the archers didn't actually shoot at anything this turn because there was nothing. But as you can see in the center, I'm just still holding everyone back with the blade dancers. The dragon is still in the center, so I can pop forward and support. But more importantly, I think I just need to make sure I can get back in this area initially. The Avatar is tough enough; it can survive a couple of rounds. Yeah, so I'm pretty happy with that. So ID turn 4, you can see the Torquenoid have really come into position now. They didn't want to get charged by the dragon. I was surprised at that. I would have thought he'd taken more risk. The vassal levies failed their leadership check again and ran away even further. So I'm like, oh no, this is really annoying actually. So there's my scoring. He's moved in the centre forward, but not really that aggressively. And then this was a shock. He moved his disciples forward, and then he couldn't move his shackled slaves without me having an overrun anyway. So I was a bit like, not sure what he's done there. I didn't know why, because now I have this great art. So my only aim this turn was to stop any buffs on the disciples of Luger. That was my aim, because next turn I was charging. It was happening, and with the Dryads there, I can break their steadfast. So Blade Dancers go in most, Dryads come in, Kestrels charge the slaves. I have a flank and I've broken his steadfast, and that's my scoring unit. So I knew my dragon was going to go one way and support that combat. So the avatar better do well in this. His Infernal engine did charge, so I was going to take impact hits and stuff, but the avatar was going to have to play on its own for a bit. In terms of turn 5, I've done a couple of wounds to the avatar and took none to the Infernal engine and took none in my own last turn, which was pretty good. I've just sort of done this. Sorry. So I didn't really change around from there, but this, so effectively, as you can see here, I did charge my Blade Dancers into this. I also charged my Dryads and I charged my Kestrels. The Kestrels blew through the slaves and overran. What this meant was I had lots of attacks going through, and I can't remember what I chose. He didn't let me get Healing Waters through, and I don't think I got Stone Skin through. So I'd had a really bad magic phase, and I was like, oh, this is not good. So I hit him, and I hit him really, really hard. I got lots of them down, though I don't think I rolled. No, I rolled really badly in this combat, so I didn't kill as much as I should have. His 5+ saves were probably about average, which was good for him. And then he rolled lots of attacks and he got 11. So these are the dice. And if you can see here, out of, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, and these 5 here. So this 11, he got 11 wounds through on the Blade Dancer. I was like, crap. That was it. That would have been drawn combat. And I didn't expect many through. And I was like, I really wanted to break here. Because I mean, I think was his BSB in range? I don't think his BSB was, but like a leadership 6 is possible, and if I didn't break him here, you can see the Kadim's coming in and it's all going wrong, and I rolled 5 6s out of 11. I am a jammy person, and that's just on me. So sorry, Matt. Yeah, that's not tactical play. I just got very, 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 very lucky. So I won the combat by about 5, maybe it was 6, but it wasn't quite auto breaking, but it could have been a lot worse than stuck. So I think Matt was really unlucky with that. But effectively, they ran, and I chased them down. I got out of arc of everything, as you can see here. But as you can see, it would have killed my Blade Dancers unit off as well. I was fully expecting them to die, so it would just be the BSB at the end. The Kestrel Knights ran off the board, and now they're going to come on my next turn. So it's just going to be one of those things. This is where I've lost a lot of stuff. So in ID turn 5, he maneuvers around to try and get the Dryads because he's behind. He still doesn't rally his vassal levies, so they're still running. His Torquenoid have come round, but it's really this big one. He managed in his turn 5. He's shot off my remaining Blade Dancers and magicked off, so it's just the Blade Dancer champion on 1 wound, and that's pretty much it. So I'm going to have to. I realise at this point the Blade Dancer chieftain is going to be used as chaff because I just need to protect the Dryads. They're worth more points in order, as you can see here. So he's there with 2 wounds. There's the Dryads, and I think this might be turn 6. So initially, actually, what he was over here. So I moved him here in front of the Kadim, so the Kadim didn't charge them. I was like, just by the way, they're fearless. So even if you shoot at them, they're not running anywhere. So he's like, so I've got to go and get into charge. So he does that. So this is his turn 6 actually. So what he does is he shoots off my BSB. So in my turn 5, I move in front, he kills him off. In my turn 6, I'm confused now. I'm really sorry, people. This should teach me for doing battle reports so late, so I'll have to just quicken this up. But effectively, what happens at the end of this is he gets killed. In fact, no, so this is turn 5, and for some reason he didn't kill the Blade Dancer. I don't know why. He just didn't get him, because in my turn 6, I did some shanky stuff. So what's happening here is I put the Sentinels in charge range here. I probably could have moved them out, and it's just to make sure. So what I did was I didn't want them to be able to flee, hit my dragon, and run forward. So I made sure the dragon was permanently out of range of any sort of 6 inches in case it got killed off. So with the Dryads, so with the Sentinels. As you can see, my Kestrels were behind here, but if it all went horribly wrong in the centre, I was quite happy to sacrifice them for the objective, just so I could get that win. You see the vassals are still running off over here, but the game plan has sort of worked because the entire centre is just not used, and the Turk anointed, they've just not taken part in the battle at all. In this combat here, the Avatar has done a bit more wounds, so I'm hoping I can kill him off in the final turn. Turn 6, yep. As you can see, I've moved him in front of there, and he gets Blade Dance gets killed off in his turn 6 even, sorry. And then turn 6 here, yeah. Kills that person there. As you can see, he charged here, and I fled just to stay out of range because I realised, I don't know why. I think I didn't want to take the risk. It was either half points for the Sentinels or potentially full points. I just went, okay, I'll take half points, lower risk, and I should have played it better at turn 5 and done my measurements a bit better. But that's the way it goes. His vassal levies still didn't rally, but neither do they run for the board, I think. Or do they? I can't remember. But what it does happen though, the Avatar with the final go kills the Infernal engine. So they've been locked in for about 4 combat phases, but he's got another tank to his repertoire. I should really start making stuff for his base, but currently I think he's killed like 4. So he killed 1 at tech and 1 steam tank at tech, 2 at the Masters Open, and an Infernal engine. So he's done 4 of them. And I've played him in other games where he's killed the Infernal engine as well. No, he hasn't. No, so in 2 tournaments he's got about 4 tanks under his belt. So he's pretty much a tank expert at the moment. But yeah, that's the end of it. It's a pretty bloody battle, obviously, without them. So yeah, pretty happy. Yeah, good win, or it does end up as a win. It's 13-7 to me. He's obviously killed quite a bit. But we still ended up in a 10-10. That Infernal engine at the end was really, really useful to me. Obviously, he's picked up quite a lot of points for the Blade Dance to the BSB Chieftain, but I've only really lost my Chaff and half points for the Sentinels, so I played it a bit cagey, but keeping his centre back was quite useful. And I destroyed the units. I was really happy with the Disciples of Luga. That's a big win. And I expected the Infernal engine. I wish maybe I could have got the Kadim, but I think that's a good way to play, and getting the objective was a really good thing against ID, so I'm really happy with that. In terms of monsters, I mean, look at this painting, some of the detail in this, and his army got best painted, and with good reason. It was fantastic. It was a joy to play, and he's a lovely opponent. But yeah, so game 4 finished with 13 points. I'm now on 39. So after first 2 games is really quite bad, we're going into the final game on 39 points, needing 11 to get that magic 50. So thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe. I will be working out how to do music for this and becoming better at delivering YouTube videos. I've noticed that lots of the other videos are much higher quality than mine. So I will try and make this experience a bit more thematic. But just let me get through Art of War. It's been pretty hectic painting and hopefully I'll have some more battle reports for you. Thank you very much. Have a good weekend.